We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it! My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
With Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and I'm just asking questions, and the real question that we're going to get into today is why Ross Ulbricht of the Silk Road was not pardoned day one. Now, we're going to get into why this is an important case, what was promised. We're going to show you the video of Trump at the Libertarian National Convention, actually getting booed in the outset, and just a small clip of him making that promise. And I've talked about Ross, and I've talked about Bitcoin. We're going to get into Donald Trump also launching that meme coin just a few days before the inauguration, actual economics, the World Economic Forum, and much more, including Trump virtually speaking there this coming Thursday. So in a couple days, we're going to see that. I want to start this video saying that this is not a negative video about Donald Trump at all on day one. This is me holding the man and the administration accountable to the promises, despite the fact how much he did yesterday. And that's what I'm going to start with, okay? Because to not acknowledge, first of all, the biggest thing, in my opinion, outside of the international policies regarding the WHO, etc., that he did yesterday on a human level, on a Jason Bermas knows some of these people level, some people for almost 20 years. Stuart Rhodes of the Oath Keepers amongst them. Okay, and that doesn't mean I agree with everything that Stuart has done or said, etc. The idea that Stuart Rhodes or Enrique Tarrio of the Proud Boys were insurrectionists or ready to overthrow the government, right? Or domestic extremists / terrorists, that wasn't real. Okay? And I just named a couple people. But in the case of Tarrio, hate his politics, hate his face, hate everything about him. He wasn't even at the Capitol on the Fed non-insurrection. Wasn't even there. Do you understand what a horrible precedent that set? So, even today, and you can watch this tomorrow on Patriot.tv, that airs every weekday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, my interview with John Strand, another individual I've met in person, okay, while he was touring with Simone Gold, who, again, loves Simone, hates Simone. One of the things that I love that she said at that event that I was at a few years ago, just before John ends up going into prison, is that the next big lie they're going to tell you is it's a lab leak. And I've always discussed it. I don't want to get too far into it. You know, the gods of YouTube censorship might take us off the air. But these are real people that really did challenge the establishment. And that's one of the biggest things out there to me. Okay? I run with a lot of the quote-unquote black pill crowd. And in many cases, I absolutely agree with them, especially when we talk about globalist agendas. That's what we do here. It goes beyond left and right. In fact, some of the concerns about this administration outside of policy is the direction that they're headed in technology, artificial intelligence, and that move in society that I don't think a lot of people are prepared for. It's something we should pay extreme attention to. People left jail yesterday. That was real. So when people told me there wasn't a real difference between Donnie T, okay, and Biden 2.0 or a Kamala Harris administration, I said, no, that's not the case. I'm very glad he did this day one. I'm actually very glad they did it blanket. The corrupt pardons of yesterday that we discussed were just over the top. These pardons were just. Okay, so that's like a huge thing. I can't emphasize that enough, and it should not be lost on anybody else. Getting us out of the climate Paris Accords, huge. WHO out, huge, matters. And I would be remiss if I also didn't mention the fact that as he was doing these pardons, okay, he did a press conference for like an hour. And he took the press's questions. I would argue, not only was that like way more coherent, but in combination of actual questions by the press, easily that was more than Biden took in his first 2 to 3 years in office. Day one, son. So, you can hate the guy. You can tell me there's not a difference. You can tell me I'm stumping for Trump or I'm on a hopium train. He delivered big time on some issues yesterday. Now, I got some real concerns. That I didn't even have that concerning story. Maybe you should go watch tomorrow's broadcast because Moderna just got some substantial cash for a bird flu acceleration of the program. Literally yesterday, I think. So that kind of stuff with this administration, no bueno. But one of the things that he didn't deliver on is Ross, and that's where we're going to go. Because one of the other aspects that we should really talk about getting into Ross Ulbricht is he signed an executive order saying the government would no longer take part in censorship. What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means. I'll tell you what, on a peripheral level, what it would mean to me to make good on something like that is if we are talking about free speech and we're not talking about censorship, I mean, Ross should have been out day one. There should have been a retroactive pardon on every precedent that was set with Julian Assange. And when you look at Edward Snowden's never been charged with anything, right? I guess now that we're in the business of pre-pardons, which that's not something I want him to do at all, at all. I think what Biden was able to get away with is not constitutional. You have to be charged with a crime. And that being said, you have to assure somehow that Edward Snowden will never be charged with a crime and is welcome back into this country. Now, Tulsi Gabbard, during her confirmation hearings, had to discuss Snowden and her support of him. And I'll be honest with you, I've not watched that yet. I need to. There's just been so much going on. And, on top of my regular show, doing this, family stuff, keeping up, trying to see as much of the inauguration and the real stuff as of yesterday and keep up in it. It's a lot. And I got to tell you, I couldn't do it without you. That's why, if you want to support this broadcast, share the links, let everybody know, check out the alt platforms, especially X. At least we're a claw our way up there. But consider buying me a coffee, $5, $10, $15. It does mean the world to me. If just 11 more of you today follow me on X. Oh, we dropped a couple. It's going to have to be 13. See, we're fluctuating. We can hit 46,100. So let's get into it. Bitcoiners disappointed that Trump did not free Ross day one. And what we're going to do for you right now is show you that is the exact promise that he made. And he also promised to bring libertarians into his administration. I'm not sure if anybody can point out the quote-unquote libertarians he's already announced or are somewhere in the administration. I don't know about that yet. That's another promise he needs to deliver on. Libertarians are not perfect, but no political process is perfect. And I get a kick out of this video because Trump, first of all, not used to being booed, like I said. And he's being booed by the hardcores, for sure, that don't even want him there. They didn't even want like a Bobby Kennedy there, etc., especially because he was running a Green Party, not Libertarian Party. But he gets up there under an ungovernable sign. Be ungovernable. If you have a government for and by the people, like what people don't understand is to have a community, to have a society, to have a rule-based meritocracy where you're not taken over by overt violence, coercion, resource distribution, etc., of the powerful, you do need some type of a government. Like I often go back to the Wild Wild West. Wild Wild West. There's a reason there were sheriffs and they could deputize people and there were posses. All right? And like human nature, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. All right, let's hit the clip. This is Donnie T at the Libertarian National Convention.
Thank you. And if you vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served. He's already served 11 years. We're going to get him home. We're going to get him home. That is why I'm committing to you tonight that I will put a libertarian in my cabinet and also libertarians in senior posts. Combined with us in a partnership, we're asking that of the libertarians. We must work together. Combine with us. You have to combine with us. We cannot give crooked Joe Biden 4 more years. We cannot give crooked Joe Biden 4 more years.
So I do believe that we do have to work together. I don't know that, quote unquote, combining is the answer. But you already have a certain voice and branch out there. And by the way, who knows? Maybe the pardon is going to happen. You know, we're going to get into that in a minute. I've got 2 different sources open. So, like, the moment it's announced, if it is announced, and Polymarket is pretty sure it is, we're going to get into that. We'll get into it, and we hope it's sooner rather than later. But you got people like Charles Fain Lehman over at the Free Press, right? Don't free Ross Ulbricht. What's he doing? He's perpetrating this idea that Ulbricht is a drug dealer, etc. And listen, I hope, first of all, BTC, I think it's at 106,000 right now, almost all-time highs. We'll get into the Trump meme coin in a second. Ross has been in there a long time. I hope that he's got some USB sticks with some hardcore Bitcoin on it that he did not utilize in his initial case. But then that initial case was so lawyer heavy, he may have had to expenditure all of those resources at the time, if he even had access to them. But let's say he didn't have access to them, and they are in a place where if he gets out of prison, he may have access to them. He was in contact with his mother. I would expect that, like, if he could have, she could have. I don't know. I've interviewed his mother before. But I think that would be spot on. And we have to understand, if we're talking about decentralization and true non-censorship, you have to allow platforms like the Silk Road that are free in every respect. If people are breaking laws there, all right, just like any other platform or forum, go after them. I don't want human trafficking to flourish. I'm not trying to support the international drug trade or fentanyl trafficking, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Don't want that. All right, that's not what this is about. Now, the Musker-Do, okay, he's already tweeted out there he's going to free Ross. Now, this is yesterday. I want to show everybody this. Right here. Father, I'm hearing from the people you need to put Ross Ulbricht's pardon at the top of the executive order stack. And Musker-Do yesterday, last evening, said he would be freed. Okay, with that, that's a big mover and shaker on Polymarket. And Angela McArdle said that the staff just confirmed to me that Ross's pardon will be issued tonight or tomorrow morning. Well, tomorrow morning is come and gone. We've heard nothing official about that. I want to put that out there. But Polymarket bettors are pretty certain. I think right now we'll refresh, but it hit 93%. And that's like the last mainstream story here. So this is what I mean while we were doing it, the broadcast. We're just going to make sure, nope, nothing in the news. And we're gonna refresh here. But I thought that this was, again, smart. It's amazing these MAGAs are screaming about pardoning Ross Ulbricht, but no one is screaming about pardoning Assange or Snowden. Again, Snowden can't get a pardon. Kind of like a bunch of mob mentality sheeple, J6 pardons. Look, I understand the frustration, okay? But this is where people like me and others, like again, Trump's getting booed. He wants to bring everybody together. He should have made good on that one promise, that day one promise. Now, that can be fixed. If he gets to Ross in short order, everybody's going to be like, well, he did that. Great. I also want to see those libertarians in the cabinet, right? Like, because already I'm seeing Massey get pushed aside, not loving it. Okay. And Trump, you know, this $9 billion crypto. I'm going to tell you right now, I know some people that got in on it. Good for them. Made several $1,000s just this week. Just within the last 4 or 5 days. Just badongo. And that shows, first of all, Trump doesn't know anything about this. This is, again, on the peripheral. Just like he doesn't understand Bitcoin. Told all the libertarians to play with their Bitcoin. Said all the Bitcoin should be made in America. That's not how crypto works. But that, again, his ignorance of these things tells me that without him understanding some of the more intricate ideas of smart contracts, of mining, of pooling crypto, I mean, there's just so much to it, of blockchain technology in general. I hope that this doesn't accelerate to a point where that technology is utilized against humanity, not just American citizens. Yes, America first, love America. Again, I'm about humanity, everybody. And I think you have to be. You should be. Like if you're going to be genuine about all this stuff. Now, let's talk World Economic Forum, okay? Trump presidency looms large over WEF gathering of global business leaders, heads of state. And you're reading into this, and like 60+% of these economists that were asked think that this is a long-term shift with the Trump economy. I don't know what that exactly means, right? Again, I don't think the IRS is getting abolished or the federal income tax. I'd love to believe that. Please prove me wrong. You're going to see a disco dance party up here. Oh, like, whoa, aha, if that's the case, right? Not holding my breath on that. But that also wasn't promised. At the same time, I don't want to see a system that can be eventually utilized in the manner of censorship through outside agencies that aren't the government. So, like, that's what I mean when I say that I don't understand what this no more government in censorship. Is signature reduction over? I haven't even seen it acknowledged by this administration. I doubt it's over. It's spanned way more than even his last administration. So that tells me it's going nowhere. Are we shutting down the fusion centers for Homeland Security? I don't know anything about that. I know there's a lot of talk of Doge and, government lawsuits to try to say that that can't happen, et cetera, et cetera. That stuff's on the peripheral. I like Kristi Noem as head of the Department of Homeland Security. Can't say I don't like that. I like the idea that we're going to, close the border. I saw already that the app has been shut down and all this processing, that Johnny nonsense is over. I do want to see the deportations. I want to see the cheaper energy. I think we're going to see some of that, and that's a real difference. Just like the J6 stuff from if the other administration got in. That's how I feel about it. Now, Trump himself will be speaking at this. All right? Period. I mean, I can't wait to see what he has to say to the World Economic Forum, because the last time he had something to say in 2020, it was actually an FU to a lot of them. And like I said, this is one of the brand new articles just today on the World Economic Forum. I actually really do like the graphic too. That this is a long-term shift, as I was talking about. And I'm not sure what that shift is going to be. I hope it's a meritocracy. While we were playing the Trump thing, I saw somebody in the comments talking about the United States of America being a white nationalist Christian society. Not real. Not something I'm interested in. First of all, don't care about the color of your skin. Like yesterday's MLK Day. And today I posted another MLK post because every day we should be acknowledging the compassion and the brilliance of that man and his take on humanity, that we judge others not by the color of their skin, which is completely arbitrary and asinine, okay, but by the content of their character, by their actions. Because, we could talk about religion as well. There's some good Christians, some not so good ones. Jews, same deal. Muslims, same deal. Okay? Buddhists, same deal. You go down the line on anything. Human beings are already flawed, right? And the one thing that I can promise you in all of my research, in all of my human experience, is that good and evil absolutely exist. There will always be a constant battle in that regard, but that doesn't mean that we can't work together to try to flourish in any environment. That doesn't mean that you're just like on a hopium train with this new administration, but acknowledge the good, okay? Acknowledge the J6 stuff. Acknowledge the fact that the WHO is not a great organization, but it still controls the narrative here on YouTube, by the way. Like that's a good question. When we're talking about no more censorship by the government and us getting out of the WHO, do we allow a private corporation with huge government contracts across the board with its parent companies to censor on behalf of the organization, the WHO, that we just left? That's kind of a mystery wrapped in a riddle, wrapped inside an enigma, isn't it? And it's a question we're going to be asking here, because that's what we're doing. We're just asking some questions. And we're doing it with your help. Please consider making a donation with some of the links below. Checking out all the documentary films for free. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies. If you want to learn more about 9/11, Shade the Motion Picture, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, to really lay out that globalist agenda, them telling you it in their own words and offering some solutions to try to subvert that agenda. Because you know what? I'm going to bring that up right now. Well, you know, right here, because I think that that's a big one with the birdie flu. Let's see, is this, no, it didn't come up there. Let's see, bird flu. Is this it? Yeah, right there, boom. So HHS, which is supposed to be headed up by Kennedy, again, is going to give over $500 million, right? Or $500 million, Bill Dog, to accelerate this thing. No bueno. No, I don't want to see Warp Speed 3.0. So that's what we're here for. We're here for the truth and nothing but the truth. It is not about left or right, ever. It is always about right and wrong. I absolutely love you guys, and we will see you all on the flip side.